I was joking earlier when I said all we were missing were the locusts, and now we find out they've got a swarm of them, a plague of them in Africa right now as well.
Turns out they're coming as well. Unbelievable.
What a mess.
People in Japan were startled in the early hours of Thursday morning as a huge fireball streaked across the night sky with a loud boom. People in the Kanto region said they heard a thunderous crack just after spotting the flaming object streaking from west to east. A curator specializing in astronomy at a science museum in Hiratsuka City said it was much brighter than a full moon. Fujii Daichi said such a loud explosion is
putting on a different kind of show.
Yeah, that's right. The sun, the earth, and moon will align on Saturday night, giving skywatchers a chance to see a lunar eclipse.
Now, fireworks won't be the only show in the skies this 4th of July weekend. Not only will skywatchers see a full moon, but also a lunar eclipse. They're calling it the buck moon.
Authorities in Botswana are investigating mysterious deaths of elephants after a spike in recent weeks.
Aerial photos reveal elephants collapsed on their sides or face down in the Okavango Delta. Botswana's government says they started dying mysteriously in March. They've counted 275 carcasses so far. The National Park Rescue says the actual number of dead elephants could be more than 400.
Authorities have ruled out poaching as a potential cause of death as the carcasses were found intact. Labs in Zimbabwe, South Africa and Canada are processing samples to determine the cause of death.
And it seemed they were even dying, very suddenly in some of the cases. The carcasses were animals that had fallen down while walking. Reports were coming in 2 or 3 months ago when this first started. So something's happening and action is clearly needed.
As Botswana has 1/3 of all the elephants on the continent, the potential for this having a truly catastrophic impact on the population is very real.
Conservationists say they have recorded dead elephants of all ages and sexes. They say many more appear confused or unable to walk and appear emaciated, cautioning the death toll may still rise.
You may have heard that expression before, but this time when we say it could literally change the earth as we know it, we really mean it could change the earth as we know it. Scientists from France and Australia have discovered signs of a new continent in the Indian Ocean. If you're shaking your head and asking, what? So did I when I first heard of this report this morning. RT's Trinity Chavez has the story.
After exploring islands near Antarctica, scientists found granite magma where a new continent is emerging, and it could change the surface of Earth. Experts believe that all of Earth's continents were once a part of one single landmass called Pangaea about 240 million years ago. But then as Earth's mantle heated and cooled over many millennia, the outer crust broke up and commenced the plate motion, and about 200 million years ago, the supercontinent started separating into pieces called continental drift. Today, that theory has been replaced by plate tectonics. And since continents rest on tectonic plates, continents are still moving today. Some of the most dynamic sites of tectonic activity are giant rift valleys and seafloor spreading zones, like the ancient continent that was discovered underneath the Mauritius by South African researchers in 2017. According to the report, the piece of crust is left over from the breakup of Gondwanaland, a supercontinent that existed more than 200 million years ago.
When Africa and India began to spread apart, they leave pieces behind, one of which was later blanketed by volcanoes at about 6 to 7 million years ago, and it's invisible. So in that sense, it's a lost continent.
Meantime, the experts at the National Ocean Service say that Earth is in a constant state of change, and we will continue to see Earth's land masses move at a rate about 0.6 inches every year. Reporting in New York.
Not one, but two unusual weather events impacting the planet this week. The first is the migration of a major dust cloud from the Sahara across the Atlantic Ocean. That is expected to hit the United States by the end of the week. The second is a remarkable heat wave in the Arctic, with temperatures as high as 100.4 degrees Fahrenheit.
Here's Puerto Rico before and after, now sweeping parts of the southeast.
This particular event has characteristics that have not been seen, at least in the past 25 to 30 years. The sheer area covered by the dust in the atmosphere.
The thing that makes this one so exceptional, though, is its size and intensity. So let's take a look at the factors that go into this. You can see that the last major event like this happened half a century ago, back in the 1970s.
There's even been a swarm of locusts, billions of them, wreaking havoc in parts of East Africa and South Asia. The biggest outbreak some countries have seen in 70 years.
It is an annual event, but experts say this is the largest and most intense in 50 years. The system is now headed our way.
The air pollution is mixing with a pandemic.
A similar story in the British Virgin Islands. These are before and after pictures. And air quality across most of that region is at record hazardous levels.
But there is a bright spot with this phenomenon. Spectacular sunsets after a day filled with dust.
所有的人全部起床，不要再睡觉了，关注获得你们的水，关注房门的情况，注意你是流。
It's 5 a.m. on Tuesday. Just minutes before, 29-year-old policeman Xu Shixiong had seen the nearby river overflow, and the damage had already started.
Entire villages submerged in water. Torrential rains have inundated schools, hotels and houses in a number of low-lying cities in southern China. In hardest-hit Hunan province and Guangxi Autonomous Region, rescue workers are going around neighborhoods in rubber boats looking for stranded survivors.
There's been torrential rain and flooding in central China too. In Hubei province, towns are submerged in meters of polluted floodwater. It's been 3 days since the deluge that destroyed this village in the Chinese province of Sichuan. Emergency workers arrived to help search for the missing.
所以说这个今年的这个防汛形势应该说很严峻。
The rainy season runs from June to August, but this year, nationwide rainfall has been 6% higher than average, and more are expected.
Breaking news, a surging high tide sends waves rushing into neighborhoods in Newport Beach. Air 7 HD was over the scene earlier tonight in the Peninsula Park area of Balboa Island. A high surf advisory coupled with the rising tide triggered the sudden flooding.
Maria Gilio watched the waves roll in from the Balboa Pier. As spectators realized quickly this was more than just a show. The ocean was destructive.
Oh my God, what a mess.
The water washed ashore around 8:30 Friday night. As neighbors say, a king tide hit 7 feet. Throw in a high surf, and it was a 1-2 punch this community's infrastructure just couldn't hold back. And of course, it is the mighty Pacific that is causing all the problems out here on Newport Beach, as yet another king tide is expected out here today.
Those waves so powerful, in fact. Take a look at this. Even this sailboat washed ashore, and that boat now broken apart, just left in pieces right there on the sand.
Well, the water has started to recede, we see, but it's still quite a scene down there tonight.
As many businesses have come to a halt during this pandemic, adopting artificial intelligence and robots could actually start to help the economy. RT correspondent Natasha Sweet has more on the benefits and concerns surrounding this high-tech innovation.
Great. This game is one of my favorite. First, stand in front of me.
Robots and artificial intelligence are helping to cut costs while reducing the spread of infections. While some are concerned robots will take over human jobs, this trend of global retailers using this technology has already been on the rise. Before stay-at-home orders were issued and businesses ordered to close as a result of the coronavirus pandemic, robots like Tally have been stocking store shelves and clothing racks. Tally is fully autonomous and mobile, designed to help retailers take better inventory within their stores.
The goal of Tally is to help ensure product is always stocked in the right place and has the right price.
And now those behind the technology of Tally say the concept is in high demand.
It creates an opportunity where there is actually more social distancing in the environment because these tasks are being performed by a robot and not a person.
San Diego-based BrainCore makes a robot operating system that can automate existing machines. Its main product is a self-driving floor cleaner working faster than a human can. It even avoids running into people during store hours. Company executives say more than 10,000 brain-powered robots are utilized by major retailers, including supermarket chains Kroger and Walmart,
Walmart, even airports and schools. In April, the company raising an additional $36 million in venture capital to expand into other areas such as shelf analytics and inventory delivery.
We're not trying to replace a human, and the companies that generally do try to do that in robotics often fail because humans are so flexible and can perform so many other tasks. So really, we're an advanced tool that allows them to perform at a higher productive level and really enables them to focus on the higher value tasks that robots aren't good at.
But with unemployment at 14.7% and the economy dropping some 20 million jobs in April, many can't help but worry about their future.
They typically won't call in sick, but sometimes they do break. In fact, you can reduce the amount of human contact and therefore, be able to, reduce the possibility of disease spread.
San Francisco-based Bossa Nova Robotics produces machines similar to Tally. Recently, Bossa Nova announced its scanning shelf robot will be expanding to 1,000 Walmart stores this year. That's up from 350 last year. The trend is off-putting to those who worry their jobs won't return after the pandemic.
Humanity has faced two monumental questions since we first stood on 2 feet. Why are we here? And are we alone in the universe? Well, we may actually be closer to answering the latter. A study out of the UK is fueling theories that there are 36 intelligent alien races in just our galaxy alone. Joining me now to break it all down, theoretical physicist and author of The Future of Humanity, Michio Kaku. Thank you so much, first of all, for joining us. When I read about this late last week, you're the first person I thought of. So maybe we're getting closer to answering that question. Is there life outside of this, outside of Earth?
Well, that's the greatest existential question of all time. Are we alone in the universe? Let's do a science experiment. Go outside tonight, look up, see the Milky Way galaxy. You are now staring at 100 billion stars in our backyard, the Milky Way galaxy, and then make a ballpark estimate. How many of those stars have planets? How many of those planets have oceans? How many of those oceans have fish and aquatic life? How many of them have intelligent life? And so this is called Drake's equation, trying to get a ballpark estimate of how many civilizations there are in the galaxy. And that's where they came up with the number 36. They took a bare bones, stripped down Drake's equation to get that number.
It's a fascinating number and it's encouraging. I guess the question though is, will they reveal themselves? Why haven't they revealed themselves? And
well, I think that one day they may actually land on the White House lawn and announce their existence. However, as Stephen Hawking cautioned us, we have to be careful because remember when Cortez met Montezuma in Mexico? Cortez had steel, he had gunpowder, he had the horse, he had the written language, and the Aztecs had none of those. And within just a matter of a few months, the Aztec civilization collapsed. So let's hope that they are peaceful. I think they are, but let's hope they are peaceful when they land on the White House lawn.
well, it's wonderful to be alive at this time to see all of that.
It's lovely out there, and lots of you are sending us pictures like this one that Leslie sent us, a photograph of Portland in Dorset. She was out as the sun rose this morning.
And you set the bar very high with these. Look at this. This is a picture of Salisbury Plain from Alex. Pink in that sky.
Salisbury Plain this morning, and in Cornwall, in Mousehole. There we go, the sun coming up over Cornwall. That's from Simon. Thank you all so much for those this morning.